century. This is the Castle Starrenberg. Berg means castle or fortification. In 1970, part of this castle was reconstructed, as you can see, and this is used as a residence. This is the left part, the one that is in white color, is used as a private residence, and it has as well a restaurant. Yeah, the tower, the white tower, the house. Can you see that white house? This is a restaurant as well. And right now is owned by the state of Rhineland-Palatinate, where we are today. Rhineland-Palatinate, where we are today. See the left hand side and the right hand side. If you're on the back, you can see everything. If not, you are moving all the time. I hope that everybody that is from the sky that you can listen, you can hear me properly. And well, it's time to talk about the Rhine River, this river that we have here. The Rhine River, it is called the Father Rhine. That's the way that the German people, they call the Rhine River. They think that the Father Rhine, the river, is a man. And the point is that the earliest Germans recognized the strong, the forceful character of the Rhine and decided that the river could only be masculine. Accordingly, they respectfully named him Father Rhine. Are you agree with that? Yes, never. They say never. And I'm gonna tell you another curiosity. Then river, they think it's a female. Yeah, they say, yeah, you like that, but I'm gonna explain you why. Because the river has a lot of curves, and it's changing the sense of the river all the time. For the reason they say the Danube River is a female because it's changing all the time. Yeah. And the Father Rhine, the Rhine is a male because it's bringing a lot of things to the Germans. I'm not agree. I don't know you, but I'm not agree. Well, but I need to explain you how it is. You may just wonder why there are so many castles along the Rhine, Main, and Danube. One is where the Rhine cuts its narrow gorge through the wooded upland mass between Bingen and Koblenz. It's around a distance of around 35 miles. There are more castles than in any other river in the world. And why? Well, the reason is as follows. A glance at any topographical map of Germany will demonstrate that the Rhine Valley provides the only lowland route through the mountainous uplands of central Germany. In the Middle Age, these uplands were covered by impenetrable forest. There were no roads, and travel through the woods was very dangerous because of the danger of ambush and robbery. For this, everyone traveled along the open valley routes or sailed along the rivers. And the Rhine and the Moselle River were the greatest trade routes of medieval Europe. Cloth and wool arrived from England, linen and laces from Holland, furs from Russia, and a lot of spices and silks from the Mediterranean Sea. For this reason, they needed to have all these castles that they use as a toll. The Romanticists of the age provide powerful stimulus to effort aim at ensuring the preservation of the castles for the prosperity. Many of the castles that we can see today were rebuilt by wealthy princes or businessmen who attempt to furnish the castles in the spirit of the Middle Ages. Years later, the rooms were filled with old furnitures and objects from past centuries. Yeah? Because today we can see that castles they are so well decorated, but originally they were not like that. You can see the left hand side and the right hand side. If you are on the back, you can see everything. If not, you are moving all the time. I hope that everybody that is from the sky that you can listen, you can hear me properly. And well, it's time to talk about the Rhine River, this river that we have here. The Rhine River, it is called the Father Rhine. That's the way that the German people, they call the Rhine River. They think that the Father Rhine, the river, is a man. And the point is that the earliest Germans recognized the strong, the forceful character of the Rhine and decided that the river could only be masculine. Accordingly, they respectfully named him Father Rhine. Are you agree with that? Yes, never. They say never. And I'm gonna tell you another curiosity. Danube River, they think it's a female. Yeah, they say, yeah, you like that, but I'm gonna explain you why. Because Danube River has a lot of curves, and it's changing the sense of the river all the time. For the reason they said the Danube River is a female because it's changing all the time, yeah. And the Father Rhine, the Rhine is a male because it's bringing a lot of things to the Germans. I'm not agree. I don't know you, but I'm not agree. Well, but I need to explain you how it is. You may just wonder why there are so many castles along the Rhine, Main, and Danube. One is where the Rhine cuts its narrow gorge through the wooded upland mass between Bingen and Koblenz. It's around a distance of around 35 miles. There are more castles than in any other river in the world. And why? Well, the reason is as follows. A glance at any topographical map of Germany will demonstrate that the Rhine Valley provides the only lowland route through the mountainous uplands of central Germany. In the Middle Age, these uplands were covered by impenetrable forest. There were no roads, travel through the woods was very dangerous because of the danger of ambush and robbery. For this, everyone traveled along the open valley routes or sailed along the rivers. And the Rhine and the Moselle River were the greatest trade routes of medieval Europe. Cloth and wool arrived from England, linen and laces from Holland, furs from Russia, and a lot of spices and silks from the Mediterranean Sea. For this reason, they needed to have all these castles that they used as a toll. The Romanticists of the age provide powerful stimulus to effort aim at ensuring the preservation of the castles for the prosperity. Many of the castles that we can see today were rebuilt by wealthy princes or businessmen who attempt to furnish the castles in the spirit of the Middle Ages. Years later, the rooms were filled with old furnitures and objects from past centuries. Yeah? Because today we can see that castles they are so well decorated, but originally they were not like that. Today, but Braubach is now the seat of the Association for the Preservation of the German Castles. and houses the world's largest collection of books devoted to medieval castles. It is the operation center for the ongoing work of preserving and restoring the castles on the Rhine. In the Rhine we have different sections. We have 4 different sections. The first one, because the Rhine Valley, the Rhine born in the Swiss Alps, and is the most used waterway in Europe. It flows 2,300 cubic meters. We are talking around 1,300 kilometers, but only 1,000 kilometers of waterways are ready for sailing. We can sail the Rhine River from Basel. It starts in the mass of St. Gotthard in Switzerland, but we can start sailing the Rhine River from Basel to Amsterdam. It means that they have counted the kilometers from Switzerland to Amsterdam, because it will finish in Rotterdam Delta. And here we have a small problem, because when they started to count the kilometers, the Swiss people, they counted one number, and the Holland, the Dutch people, they were counting another number, and they have a difference of 1 kilometer. I know that I have a Swiss man looking at me, thinking, what are you gonna say? Yes. Well, it's a big decision, because it was very difficult to agree a Swiss and a Dutch. And it was a kilometer of difference. And they made what we say in Europe when a Belgium from Belgium agreed. One agreement from Belgium. What it is? One agreement from Belgium. Not for you, not for me. We're going to have 1 kilometer of 500 meters. Yes, and we have 1 kilometer of 100 meters here in the Rhine. Then everybody was happy. We call it like that. An agreement, a Belgian agreement. Not for you, not for me. And well, you can sail this Rhine River from Basel to Rotterdam. Rotterdam for us is the biggest port that we have in Europe. Do you know how many kilometers have the Rotterdam port, more or less? Europort, 40 kilometers, 40. The second port that we have in Europe is Antwerp, 20 kilometers, all around. Yeah, not only large, we are talking about all the port. We're talking about 40 kilometers where finished the Rhine River. It opened in a delta with 2 small rivers that they are called the Lake and Wall. Yeah? The percentage of CO2 emissions depends on the means of transport, but this river is used for a lot of trading still today. This is all the advantage that we will call later about pollution, about energy, about low cost, and how it moves large masses of people, because you will see these days while we are sailing that we are not only moving passengers, because we only represent 2% of all the transport that we can see in the Rhine River, and the rest is for material, especially for construction material. And now we are going to start to talk about this Alpine section that we have from Lake Constance to Basel, where the Rhine is a typical mountain stream, and it's flowing, it's not navigable, as I mentioned. This section does not there before me to detain us too much, but the measurement of the river in kilometers begins with kilometer 0, where the Rhine issues from Lake Constance in Switzerland. The next section that we have is the Upper Rhine Plain. This one starts from Basel, Breisach. We will arrive there as well. At Basel, the Rhine dramatically swims north and enters the Upper Rhine Plain. This is a broad, flat-bottomed reef valley over which the Rhine used to wander sluggishly in vast, sweeping meanders. Yeah? The through of the valley is some 200 miles long from Basel to Mainz and some 20 to 25 miles wide. The southern section of the reef is bounded by the Bush Mountains in Alsace. Alsace, this part belongs to France, by the Black Forest in Germany, which rises beneath the valley fully. This part, the Upper Rhine Plain, divides Germany from France. You will see that when we are arriving to Strasbourg, to Basel, to Freistadt, most of our local guys, they are half French, half German, or maybe the family, or they live in France, but they are from Germany, or the father is from Germany, the mother is from France, because the only thing that you have to do is just to cross the river. The only thing that you have to do is to cross the river. And in that area, you have a lot of bridges. In this part, you will see that for not having too much communication one side with the other, we don't have bridges. Yeah? Did you realize that we don't have bridges? Then sometimes you fall in love with somebody that is from the next city in front of you, but if you want to visit them by road, you need to take 1 hour drive. And it's just in front of you. The easiest way is what are the ferries, because they have a lot of communication with the fast ferries, with the boats. But sometimes the boats, they finish at 12 or they finish at 1 a.m. Then if you want to visit your lover, you need to go all around 1 hour drive, and they maybe only live just in front of you. But this is a good excuse as well, because if you are arriving late, because you were young people, when they are in the disco, they go out, they say, oh mama, sorry, but the ferries, they just stop at 12 today. It was not possible to take another ferry until 6 a.m. Yeah? That's what the young people used to say. Yes. The rainbow, strictly speaking, is another section that we have. Is in the northern end of the Upper Rhine, but it does have a number of peculiarities to warrant a separate mention. The rainbow is also a name of the important belt of vineyards that we will see following Rudesheim today. And this is one of the most important wine producing regions. Right now we are coming into the Rhine Gorge, and at Bingen in the kilometer 529, where the Rhine takes a sharp right turn and breaks its way through the wall of the mountainous Avalon block known as the Rhineland Schist Massif. This is the famous area of the romantic Rhine, an area of fairy tale, legends, castles, and vineyards clinging to steep slopes. The lower Rhine is the one that we have met these days before. For example, yesterday we have been in the lower Rhine. From Cologne, the Rhine continues its gradual course to the sea through the flat lowlands of Germany and connecting with Holland. We are almost arriving to one of the most beautiful parts of the Rhine River. We are still in the kilometer 563. Can you see the panels on both sides of the river? They are giving us a lot of information. We are in the kilometer 563. You will see that every kilometer we have all the information, but between one panel and the other panel, you will see that there is another small panel with a plus. Have you seen the plus? Yeah, the plus means 500 kilometers. 500 kilometers. We have a cloudy day. It's not foggy, because it could happen in these areas full of humidity, because it's very humid place, and it could be full of humidity, and with a lot of fog, then it's not able to see all that we have around us and everything that is surrounding us. But the reason it's not sunny, because it's not sunny, but if it's sunny, it's not a typical German day, I gotta tell you too. Then we have a typical German day, but without fog, but it allowed us to see much better what is going on. Right now in Hirsenach, the next village that we have in front of us on the right hand side, you can see the plus panel. Sorry, you can see the plus panel. Can you see just in front of us this plus panel? This one is the one that I mentioned before. Yeah, it means that we are 500 kilometers. I can't remember right now which one it is, and the plus, that means 500 meters more between 1 kilometer and the other. I would like to mention as well all these old civilizations that they have been part of the area here in the Rhine. We need to talk, of course, about the oldest Germans. We should not neglect to mention the oldest Germans, that they live along the banks of the Rhine River, which provide water and fish, as well as game that could be ambushed as it drank at the river age. In Heidelberg Museum, preserves still the jawbone of Heidelberg man who lived 360,000 years ago. But we are not going to go so back in time, because I would like to talk about the Celts. By about the Celts, they were one of the most primitive civilizations that lived here on the Rhine River. We discovered that there are small villages dot along the banks of the Rhine, and in the Main and in Danube as well, and they are inhabited by the Celts, a tall and very fair people. After the Celts, we have the Germanic tribes that they arrived. There's many separate Germanic tribes originally live in Scandinavia, and along the Baltic coast. Most of the people, we know them because we have seen a lot of TV programs, Vikings, and all these tribes from Scandinavia. But around 700 before Christ, the weather there started to become very bad, as we know, and the temperature fell, and they decided to come to this area to live and looking for a better agriculture, because agriculture became almost impossible, and the tribe by tribe they decided to pack and to move all their bags and all their things and move south the sun. These Germans arrived gradually over hundreds of years and mixed with the existing population. Then we can say that in Germany, all the population that has arrived, they have been mixing step by step. And by the time of the Romans, when the Romans came on the scene, the Celts and the Germans had extensively intermarried with the majority of so-called German tribes, are actually the Celto-Germanic. After that arrived the Romans, and I need to speak about this because then you will find the sense of the Rhine River, because one bank belonged to the Roman side and the other bank of the river belonged to the German tribes. And we can say that the Roman Empire, you know, that it was so big, it took Hispania, what is Spain and Portugal today. The Roman Empire took a big part of what we know today as France. The Roman Empire took all the actual Italy and arrived until Germany. For this reason, all the Roman Empire, and we have all the languages that we have. We have the Latin languages connected in Spain, in Portugal, in Italy, in France. We have Latin languages because the Roman Empire conquered us. But once the Roman Empire arrived to the Rhine, it was more difficult to cross the line, because the Rhine River is not only a river, ladies and gentlemen. The Rhine River is a border. It was a border of the Roman Empire. They could conquer until the Rhine River. One side of the river, they continue speaking German, and the other side of the river was conquered, and they spoke French and the Latin languages. For the reason one side is the French side and the other side is the German side. We are talking about a border for more than 400 years. The next 400 years, the Rhine was to form the border between this Roman civilization of the left bank and the German barbarians on the right side of the river. The language, of course, of the Roman fused with the language of the natives to produce modern French. That is the French that we have today, but it has a lot of Latin influence. And on the other side, the language grew into the modern German. The Romans, they were very, very intelligent, as you know, and they selected the cities very well. They selected very special sites for their cities so wisely that many of the early settlements were later to blossom into the greatest European cities that we are visiting these days. For example, Strasbourg. Now you can understand we have these beautiful cathedrals in all that side of the river, because all the money that was coming from the Crusades, the money that was coming from the Crusades was coming from the Roman Empire side, and then is when they started to bring a lot of money to start to build all the cathedrals that we can see in Freiburg, in Strasbourg, or in Cologne. They choose so wisely all the sites for their cities, like for example we have Mainz, and we have Strasbourg as well, and we have Trier, we have Bonn. Julius Caesar as well stayed here in the Roman side. I don't know if you have heard about the Gallic Wars books from Julius Caesar, and he described his campaign against the Germanic tribes in his books, his famous Gallic Wars. And he always informed that the Germans drink beer, something that they continue to do, yeah. They drink beer, they eat white food, they love cheese, and something that was very strange and Julius Caesar talked about in his books is that the German tribes, they were monogamous, and the divorce was very strange. And this is something that Julius Caesar needed to mention, yeah, because he was coming from the Roman Empire. So they are monogamous. This is strange to see somebody getting divorced. Yeah. Regarding drinking beer, as I mentioned, they continue doing it. A moment when Roman embraced the Christianity, and we can see all the battles between Charlemagne and the beginning of the Middle Ages and the Holy Roman Empire. It's a moment that start the social order, that start the feudalism, and this society organized for war. Yeah. We are right now, I don't know exactly the number of the kilometer. I'm talking, but I'm having a look to the kilometer, and I'm having a look to know where are the good castles. Don't worry, I have even my GPS with me for not to miss a castle. We will talk about one of the most interesting legends of the river. My colleagues from the bar, they have just sent me this, and I thought it was a present. But you give me a ticket that says €4.90. This is for me? Should I pay this one? Thank you very much. Oh, you're so lovely. This is a hot chocolate with local apricot brandy. Yeah, to warm up of the body or body. Well, in this area, as you can see later, maybe like in 10 kilometers, that we are going to start to see all the vineyards around the mountains, where the agriculture is very important during the hard winter. Here, they don't drink just a regular coffee, they don't drink just a regular chocolate. Yeah, they prefer to put, as I mentioned yesterday, Rudesheim coffee, it has liqueur, it has brandy, they prepare the flambe because they need to heat a little bit up their bodies. And this is the same that I'm doing right now. I'm heating my body with a hot chocolate with local apricot brandy. This is €4.90. Yeah, but I don't know if to start to drink it, because if not, maybe I can finish my commentary dancing on the stage. Too much brandy. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna taste it. Good. It's so good. Thank you. Do you want me singing? Well, if you want, you can order to my colleague Alessandra, Milan, Radi, they are on the bar. And you only have to ask for this beautiful and tasting, also tasteful, so good, hot chocolate. I'm gonna stop because I don't wanna sing. I sing very bad. And in my country, they say that when you sing, if you sing bad, will be raining in some minutes. And I don't want that. 16. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We are we are 6 kilometers more or less is when we are arriving to the most beautiful part, and we will start to see more castles. Yeah. While that we are sailing, this is not like when we are in a hotel or when we are in a bus. It's more difficult depending on the sailing, depending on the traffic. And not all the weeks we are crossing exactly at the same time. The reason, thank you. I really appreciate your help as well while I'm explaining some things. Well, life in the castles that we will see today, life was hard because we are arriving to the medieval, yeah? And the serfs, they were not having a nice life. Do you know more or less how many hours a serf was working in a castle? 40? No, you're not bad, you're good. Yeah, 1 point. 16 hours, around 16 hours, more or less, yes. 16 hours, between 12 and 16 hours. In Spain, when you work 12 hours, they say that you have a half-part job, half part of the day, 12 hours. That's for joking. Then this serf, they were working just 16 hours per day. Even the church was caught up in these arrangements. You will no doubt enjoy the romantic view of the castles, but try to see them in the eyes of the medieval serf. We need to come back like 400 years ago to see this area in the eyes of the people that lived here 500 years ago. They probably look just about as a romantic, as a police station or an army barracks would look to us today. Life in a medieval castle was very important. The earliest castles that we will see stand on these sides were very primitive affairs indeed. And the earliest castles consisted just in a turret, just in a tower, in a big tower of European stone. They are all produced in European stone. And they were just built to guard against welcome people, welcome visitor. To entrance would often be as high as 15 feet above the ground level, reached by a ladder that could be drawn up in times of danger. These towers, because we have seen some of them, contain just one room, and that's all that they have, where the entire family will live, eat and sleep. I mean, at the beginning, we didn't have the castles that we have. We only had one tower or one small turret where all the family lived together, no light, no window, and everybody in the family sleep, eat, and spend time in the same place. The windows, as I mentioned, were no more than small holes in the walls, and they were placed very high up, so that arrows could not be shot in, of course. These are small and very narrow windows for avoid the arrows. There were no glass window, of course, and it was very dark, even midday. This is also for us. Thank you. It's like a Ferrero Rocher. Merci beaucoup. Oh, it's a delight. Thank you. Did you try this one? Please. Okay, yes. I should be the last one. He's making around. Description chocolate is, I'm gonna try it. And right now we are going to see one of the first beautiful castles that we have in the area. We are in the kilometer 559. This is the Bark Mouse Castle in, well, above the village of Velmik. We are crossing right now in the left-hand side. Can you see that? Yeah? Okay. This one was built in the 14th century, was founded in the 1353 by the Elector Archbishop of Trier, like most of them, and completed 30 years later. You need to know that sometimes the castles, the cathedrals, to finish the building, they need even 100 years. It's not like today that with 2 years everything is done. You maybe need 100 years. Then we are talking like 500 years ago, or in 13th century, to finish a castle only in 30 years. It's a short time. That for us it looks like that it's a long time to finish a castle. It was very common to finish it with 70 years or with 100 years. Then the Bar Castle, this one that we can see on our left-hand side, it was just built in 30 years. And why? Do you have the answer? Yes, because the Rhine River was for trading. Then they can have a lot of sand or different type of material for construction that can arrive easily here than to other places. Yeah, it's like the same that happened in Rotterdam. Rotterdam is the biggest port that we have in Europe, and an amazing building. They can build it maybe in 1 year and a half, because everything that they need, they have it there. This one that we have here, architecturally, it's one of the most beautiful castles of the Rhine. The name is the Bark Mouse. Mouse. Mouse, it's the same, the pronunciation is the same as in English. That's Mickey Mouse, yeah? And why they call it the Bark Mouse? I'm gonna explain it to you as well. Well, as you can see, this is a very small one, but architecturally, for me, is one of the most beautiful. It has been destroyed as well, and they rehabilitated, and it has been restored between at the beginning of the 20th century during shelling during the World War II. It has 4-story residential towers, and note the projecting corner turret, which show the defensive nature of the structure. Well, the owners, the first owners, that they were the Mouse family, they had this castle in this part, and we have another family that they were like competent, because both of them, they were trying to be richer than the others, because as I mentioned, these castles, they serve as tolls, yeah? Then we have another family that they have the castle just in front of them, yeah? the other side of the mountain, and one is called the Cat Castle, and this one is called the Mouse Castle. Yes, it is like a mock. One family is mocking from the other one because they were always like the cat and the mouse. Yeah, do you understand that? It's the same in your country, yeah? The cat and the mouse, that they are all the time, yeah, teasing each other. And the one is the cat castle, and this one is the mouse castle. For us in Europe, we use a lot the word burg. Burg means fortress. Yeah, for this reason you will listen mouse burg or mouse castle. Burg is castle. Burg means as well fortress. We have a lot of cities that we today they continue with the burg name. For example, Strasbourg. Yeah, Salzburg. Do you know Salzburg? Yeah, because it was a good place where trading with salt. That it was a salary on that moment. Salzburg, the fortress of the people that is trading with the salt. In Spain, we have a city that is called Burgos. Maybe you have been there. Burgos. Burgos, this name came from the same burg, Burgos. Yeah, Strasbourg, Salzburg, Burgos. Most of the cities that we have here in Europe, you can have the name burg if during the medieval age you have more than 12,000 citizens in the city. And it was a lot of people. More than 12,000 citizens, it means that you are a city and you can have the name of burg, the fortress. The Rhine River on the right-hand side here where I am, yeah, we have the Rhine River castle, yeah. Prepare your telephones because you're going to take for sure a very good photo from here. This is the largest one facing the Rhine River. This one is called the Castle of Rhine Falls. Yeah, this is, as I mentioned, the largest overlooking the Rhine, the largest facing on the Rhine River. It was built in 1245 in the 13th century, in the middle of the 12th century, by the Count of Katzenelnbogen. Yeah? Katzenelnbogen, this is the family that I mentioned before, the Katz family. Yeah, this is the Katz family and the Mouse family. Well, actually, it was not the name, the official name. It was the Katzenelnbogen family. And the other they decided to name another one the Mouse Park. This is belonging to the Katz family. And it was founded by the Katzenelnbogen family to protect the right to levy tolls on the river. It was decided in 13th century for a whole year by the League of Rhenish cities, but the castle was not taken at all. In the 17th century, Rheinfels was the only fortification on the Rhine to be successfully defended against the French troops of Louis XIV. The French returned 2 years later. They returned 2 years later with a stronger force, and the garrison ran away, surrendering the castle without a fight. The French troops destroyed the castle. It is very common in the area. The French destroyed the castle, leaving it as much as we can see it today. It is open to the public, and the visitors will be amazed at the vast extent of the ruins and the maze of wall passage and underground galleries that we can find in the Rheinfels castle. It had even a full garrison of 2,000 soldiers, and is owned by the city of Saint-Goard, and it's partly inhabited. And what can we find in the castle? We can find a history museum, we can find a restaurant, we can find a hotel because it's very big, and we can find as well a youth hostel just for young people. And on the castle, as I mentioned, is part of the small city because it's a small village of Saint-Goard. It's followed by Saint-Goard. As you can see here, we have Saint-Goard on the same side. Yeah. We have Saint-Goard, that the name is coming after a hermit of the 6th century who lived here and helped everyone traveling by land or water. Saint-Goard is the patron saint of innkeepers, and Saint-Goard was a place of pilgrimage in the Middle Ages. Today, Saint-Goard is a place, a special place, not for pilgrimage anymore, but for another type of pilgrimage, because it's a place for tourism and for wine tasting. The city of Saint-Goard became very popular, and I will explain you why. Because later I will speak when during the 1960s, when the tourism arrived to the Rhine, and one of the best places to come to have a nice sailing was to take a one-day trip between Saint-Goard, this small village that we have here, and Bompard. And people used to take a small ferry just to spend the day, a one-day trip, when the tourism started in the Rhine. And people used to come here, take a ferry, and just go maybe like 50 kilometers up and down, spend the day. And for them, what for us is just one excursion day, for them they were holidays. Because as I mentioned, we need to see this commentary today in the eyes of 100, 200 years ago. Then if we see the Rhine River in these eyes, we can understand more things. Today they continue with this famous one-day trip, Bompard Saint-Goard, because what they want is to cross the famous area of Loreley, the narrowest area of Loreley. Owned for the same family, the Katzelenbogen, and this one was the first one, well, I mean, before than the Mouse Castle. You can see that in one side we still can see the Mouse Castle, and right now on the left hand side we can see the Katz Castle. Yeah, for this reason it belonged to the Katzelenbogen family, and they call it the Katz Castle, and the other family, just to mock of them, they create the Mouse Castle. That's one behind the other all the time. And today they can face each other, and they can see each other from one castle to the other. But especially the big problem that they had was money, because all of them, they were fighting for the tolls, all of them, they were like trying to show up that they were very powerful families. What I mentioned before about to be a fortress in a city, it was about when they have more than 12,000 citizens, they could be named as a city, they could be named as a bar, they have a bar, they have a fortification. But just for a castle, just to start with a small tower, with a small turret, the only thing that they needed to have is to be powerful and rich people in the area. And most of them, they got that money because they were very important in trading, and they have decided to invest the money with these castles that we can see. Now for sure you are wondering yourself why we are so slowly. Yeah? We are so slowly because we are just arriving to the narrowest part of the Rhine. We are arriving very close to the rock. Yeah? And in this moment you can see in front of us that we have a lot of traffic because we have the ferries that they are crossing from one side to the other side of the Rhine River, and we have a lot of ships. We will see as well how we can find even traffic lights. I will show you the traffic lights that we have because we are behind the mountain of the Lorelei Rock and we don't have too much visibility. For this reason, our captains that they need a special license for sailing in this area. You need to be a captain, but for being sailing in this area you need a special license in the Rhine. Then they need to understand and to know who is coming, and the best way to know it is because we have a traffic lights. You don't have visibility and you have a traffic light. It's sailing in front of us is full of sand, and as I mentioned before, most of them they have material, construction material. This is the Callisto. Well, today it's a lot of traffic. I can see that we are stopped, completely stopped. I can show you. There's a lot of traffic coming. Right now we are sailing upstream. We are sailing upstream. They are coming downstream. And on the right hand side, can you see a panel with lights that is like a triangle? Every time that we are sailing downstream, it's easier for us, yeah, because we are like saving hours. When we are sailing upstream, like right now, we are sailing upstream because we go against the current, yeah. We are going to Basel right now, and you can see the traffic lights. This is special traffic lights that we have in the river. Can you see like a panel with lights that is like a white triangle? Yeah, it means that we need to be stopped. Once one of the lines disappear, we could cross by. And you can see it from here. Where I am, you can see it. If you can see, because if you are seated, you just came here. Can you see that it's like a panel with a triangle with lights on the right hand side? From here you can see that. These are the traffic lights from the river. Yeah, that one. Yeah, that is like shining. That is a traffic light. That is telling us that we couldn't cross because we have a lot of ships that they are coming downstream. For the reason we need to be here stopped just a little bit, waiting for them. Yeah, it's a beautiful view. We couldn't complain at all. It's not always like that, but most of the times they have the priority on the ships that they are coming downstream, depending on, of course, of the current. But most of the times they have the priority for the reason we need to stay here and stop. But I just spoke with captain and told me that now it's our time. Right now you can see the traffic lights without no lights. It means that we only have that line that is showing out that we have the priority. Can you see the two triangles that they have disappeared, no lights, only the down one? Yeah, it means that it's our time. Like Mariah Carey say, it's time. And now we are just crossing by this beautiful curve. It's a double curve that we have in the narrowest area in the Rhine River. As I mentioned before, not all the captains could sail this area because for this specific area they need a special license as well. And Lorelei, what is so famous, the rock that I will let you know, it will come on the left hand side, the big rock that create this sound that distract all the sailors so many years ago. And now we can see, because we are arriving to the kilometer 555, yeah. On your left hand side, all those that you are at the beginning of the ship, you can see already one big rock with a big flag on the top of the mountain. This one is the Lorelei rock. Why Lorelei? Who is Lorelei? Well, Lorelei is well known for being a siren, a mermaid in the Germanic mythology. She was a great beauty siren with a delicious voice. In a delicious voice with delicious song, it's believed that Lorelei plays on this rock that we will see right now on the left hand side, and we can see on the top some flags. Can you see the flag? Well, they say that Lorelei was seated down, yeah, and with her great beauty and delicious song plays on this rock of the Rhine to seduce the navigators, to seduce the sailors. But actually, I don't want to be a party pooper, but they were the meanders what made ships run aground. Lorelei is a Celtic siren of the German mythology, as I mentioned, and they thought that it was a murmuring rock. The truth is that these heavy currents that we have here, the heavy current, the small waterfall behind the mountain in the area, create a murmuring, create a sound that the sailors thought that it was she was the siren that was singing with a beautiful voice, but it was not a beautiful voice. It was just a murmuring song for the current and this small waterfall, plus this special echo that we can see in the area, a special echo that create a sort of amplifier. For this reason, don't expect anything, don't expect a siren on the top of the mountain. Right now we only have these three flags. And the legend said that she distracted the sailors, but as I mentioned, it was the meanders what made ships run aground. It says like a similar story. I don't know if you have read the famous the Odyssey, the Odyssey, from Homero. Right now we have a flagpole on the top where the Lorelei used to sit and sing. 435 feet high, this mountain is the narrowest point on the river, the highlight of her commentary. It's with this strong current, a depth of 89 feet, with a sharp bend, plus the whirlpools and dangerous cross currents, create this legend of Lorelei. We have seen the signals and traffic signs that they work as a traffic light, informing on cap times of incoming traffic from around the bend when we don't have, of course, visibility at all. She was a beautiful maiden who sits on the top of the Lorelei Rock, with the golden hair, with a golden comb while she was singing, and her singing was so enchanting and so charming that all the boatmen on the river below are captivated. They were captivated, forgetting that what they were doing, and come to grief on the rocks and in the whirlpools. But as I mentioned, there were the whirlpools and these meanders that made the ships run aground. And of course there is a very famous song, that is the song of Lorelei, and I would like to play this song for you and to enjoy this moment. Well, I hope you have enjoyed with this music is from the orchestra German Symphony, because this is the famous song of Lorelei, and for sure you will listen this song one day more in some place. Some of the cuckoo clocks even they have the song of Lorelei inside. Yes, some of the cuckoo clocks. And for example, today in the coffee tasting that we have in Rudesheim, we have the coffee tasting in a very beautiful place. It was a castle before. Today there is a hotel, and in the hotel restaurant they have a nice cuckoo clock, a big one, with some dolls that they came out, and sometimes the music that appears every o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, is the Lorelei song. And maybe you can listen someday again, and it's the famous Lorelei because it's part of the culture, and even sometimes you call to some places Hotel Lorelei, a group bundle Lorelei, they have Lorelei everywhere. It's like when you fall in love, you forget about the rest of the world. Yeah, it's a little bit similar. They forget about it, but it is the same that happened in the Odyssey from Homero. I don't know if you have read the Greek book of Homero. In the Odyssey happened the same. That Homero sometimes have to tie the sailors, yeah, because they fall in love with the enchanted sirens by Calypso in that case. But in this case, the name instead of being Calypso is Lorelei. You can see it there. Famous Lorelei rock. And we have some more castles forward, but we couldn't forget about the advantages of the water transport that we have seen, and especially because we have been stopped like 15 minutes more or less, and we all know that it's much easier, of course, to move a heavy weight in water than on land. By the same principle, less energy is required to move a cargo ship by water than to move a rail or a truck. For example, other things being equal, a truck can move around 300 pounds per horsepower, and a train can move 1,100 pounds per horsepower, and a ship can move 8,800 pounds per horsepower. Thus, transport by water requires much less fuel. For every gallon of diesel used by a ship, a train will have to use 1.3 gallons, and a truck have to use 4.2 gallons. It means that we are using less fuel and we can move more pounds per horsepower. The cargo ships that we have seen today, most of them, they are transporting with a large capacity of the barges, as we have seen a double barge ship is ideally situated to the transportation of bulky and weighty cargoes. The major items carried since 1980s in terms of percentage are building materials that we have seen a lot, especially sand, gravel and stones. It shows around 30%. Petrol, diesel, fuel, heating oil. They represent the 20% in cargo ships, and we have other percentages like coal, cereals, animal feed, wood, cellulose that represent like 10%, chemicals represent as well like a 10%, fertilizers, how do you pronounce it? Fertilizers, yeah, thank you very much. And of course, you have seen that another companies, like for example Ford, that they have the Ford car company here in Germany. They transport all the cars not by trucks, they transport the cars by cargo ships. I would like maybe the last day, if you are interested, I can make a short presentation, very short presentation, and you can see even some cargo ships that they can transport, for example, 10 ships like on Avalon Panorama over a cargo ship. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing all that you can transport and things that you don't believe for sure. I will make a short presentation. If you're interested, you can. I will make it, and if you're interested, you can come. Okay. Tourism. The tourism just represents, as I mentioned, it's not more than 5%, depending on the year. Every time tourism it's becoming more and more popular on the rivers. I remember when I started on river ships 15 years ago, that my mom say, "Where is Anna working?" My mom at the beginning had to have a paper in the wall because she couldn't remember where I was working. Yeah, 15 years ago. In Spain we call it ríos fluviales. Yeah, so viajes fluviales. And my mom said, "I have never heard about that word." And I have a paper with me on my wallet. And when somebody asked me, I said, "She's working in like waterways." Yeah. Right now they are becoming every time more popular, and all the companies are building and building more ships. We have a lot of good things, pollution, transport is fast, but the problem is that we don't have enough ports, as you can see. And sometimes in some of the cities it's not possible the double docking. Yeah. If you go to Egypt, you are sailing the Nile, you can even see a double position, a triple, or even 6 boats in Egypt. Egypt, no rules. But Germany, most of the ports is not possible, even the double docking position. But right now, this is the only problem that we have, the structure in the ports. The tourism arrive on the Rhine River, and we are talking at the end of the 19th century with the first steam ship arrived, the famous British Caledonia. The first, as I mentioned, time-day excursions, they started in 1885. And it was finally in 1960, the middle of the 20th century, in the 1960, the first cruise, we can say the first cruise, started in Rotterdam, in Holland. It was the first cruise. It was a new area opens with a floating hotel ship that makes the first journey from Brussels to Rotterdam, just 5 days. These holidays have become so popular that they just built 6 more ships, and then in that moment they enjoy the evening delights of the little towns along the way. And with the canalization of the Mosel River, it completed these journeys in the Rhine River. Let's continue because we have some more castles, interesting castles on this part of the river. Christ, and he was owned by the richest families in the Rhine River. This is one of the biggest cities. Here in this part of the Rhine River, you have seen that we have a lot of villages, small villages with a lot of castles. That they have a lot of tourism, but most of them they are very small villages. This city has been administrative the Franconian Kingdom, and it was a free imperial city until the 14th century, when the Bishop of Trier started to take most of the cities until the early years of the 90s. Over Basel, this city is well known as well as the city of the towers, because originally it had 21 towers around the mountains. Some of the towers they were heighted, but still to the day it has 16 towers in the city. Walls from the medieval period are still in a fine state of preservation, and we can see here the church just in front of us. The Church of Our Lady that is origin is from the 1331 from the 14th century and has a tower that is rising 244 feet. It has a hawk tower, and they say even some novelists and some poets, they say that Overbessel was the most beautiful place, the most beautiful refuge on the Rhine on the Middle Ages. Even the famous writer, novelist, and poet Victor Hugo, the French one, even mentioned Overbessel city as an excellent place where to drink red wine. And Overbessel is well known not only for the Riesling wine, as well for the red wine, rot wine, as they call it, the red wine and the red wine. This area until Bacharach, that Bacharach it will come more or less in around kilometer 543. Yeah, we are in kilometer 550 more or less, and then in 7 kilometers we have this area that is a special area not only for white wine, for Riesling wine. This area is very well famous and well known for the red wine and the white wine. As most of the cities, the major part of the cities that we have seen today, Overbessel was burned down, the town or the city, by the French troops. Yeah, but still the medieval town remains in our mind, where we can see what we can see today. Now just around the corner here in Overbessel, we can see as well, just in front of us, we can see one of the most beautiful castles that we have in the Rhine River. For me, this one, the Rhine Force, because it's the largest, and with this one, the Schoenburg, it's one of the most beautiful castles that we have. And the name, it's Schoen, that means beautiful, and Burg means castle. It's just to call it a beautiful castle. It's a simple name. And now, as soon as we are just crossing by Overbessel, we can see on our right-hand side, we can see another Old Lady church in red-colored bricks and local stones. This one. in a tower of it's a 2.5 feet. And at the top of the mountain we can see the Schomburg castle. The Schomburg castle has been destroyed as well from the French troops, and it has been rehabilitated in different times. But for me, today is still one of the most beautiful castles that we have in the Rhine River. This castle, the Schomburg, the beautiful castle, was given by the Emperor Frederick, and it was called Barbarossa, to one of his officials in the 12th century. This is not only one of the most beautiful, we need to say that it's as well one of the oldest castles that we have. For me, this is one of the highlights in the Rhine. And it belonged to the Counts of Schomburg. Yeah? The taxes from Rhine traffic made riches and powerful families here on the Rhine River. It was, as I mentioned, destroyed by the troops of Louis XIV, King of France. One more time, the French destroyed most of the castles that they had seen in their trips here and in the wars. And in the 19th century, exactly in 1885, they started to work and began to start to restore the castle one more time. And at the middle of the 20th century, they become it as a youth, as a hostel, and today they are using it as a youth hostel for young people. Our vessel marks a transition from hard slate, creating narrows to softer sand and stone. And from here, the next city that we have is Cahove and Bacharach. We have still around 4 kilometers and with a very beautiful castles. We have the small castle of Cahove. We have the castle of, if you want, we have a castle in Cahove, kilometer 547. For me, this one is very beautiful. And in 546 we will see as well the castle Gutenfall, that it has like, it is like in the middle of the river. Yeah, and they use it as well as a toll. It looks like that in the middle of the river, like in 2 kilometers, will appear like a small island, and it looks like a big stone. Yeah, it looks like a big stone in the middle of the river, and they call it the ship that was floating on the Rhine River. We still have, as I mentioned, 2 but smaller beautiful castles, one in Cahove, 547, and the one that is in the middle of the river, and they call it the ship that is floating eternally on the Rhine River. All this area that until Bacharach city, Bacharach, they belong to the area of the white and red wine, just 4 more kilometers of red and white wine, until Bacharach. Bacharach means Baki Ara, the altar of Bacchus. They call it as the Roman god because of the wine Paris that they create here. And I think that we can have 2 hours of a lot of information, and I'm gonna let you to rest a little bit of my voice. I hope you enjoy today, because we have Friedrichshain, that is one of the most beautiful Christmas events that we have in the area. I would like to remind you that for today, headsets are not needed. You don't need to pick up a color dot, you don't need to pick up your headset or your device, because we are going all together at the same time by mini train. Remember, meeting point at 10 to 2, and we will go all together. And once that we arrive to city center, we will split. Some people will go hiking, some others will stay with me to the museum. And after that, everybody, you are invited to this famous coffee tasting with Nicole, with Frank flamme and everything. Regarding the city that we visit today, it's in the sky because some people was already asking me. Actually, we are going to enjoy a lot the day of today. The only thing that I have to say right now is thank you for listening to me. It has been a pleasure, and I hope that you have enjoyed as much as I enjoyed. Thank you very much. Ciao, ciao.
Selfie-stick. Huh? What you got? But you got your selfie-stick too. See the wind through the sun.
What are you doing?
That was video. Had a good little gust and just whoosh. This thing in.
Now we go and look at it.